Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me. Um, Everybody made it in? All right, well, I am so excited that you guys have come aboard to talk with me. I am going to be sharing my journey to motherhood and how I got there. I'm also going to be talking about just some of the challenges that I've experienced and what that looks like in my life and how I try to balance it all and still trying to figure it out. And I'm also looking forward to hearing from you guys. And I want this to be really interactive. So while I'm talking, I love it. I already see a baby running around. That is so my life. My daughter's off to swim class, so that's the only reason that she is not running around. But I'm here in my home gym. And I really want this to be a dialogue, for us to be able to open up and just chat about some of the things that I've talked about. If you guys have similar experiences, you can just kind of be thinking while I'm talking, and then I'll open it up to kind of have like a bit of a discussion. And if you guys have any questions for me as well. So I don't know, could everybody just give me a little wave that you're with me and we're ready to go? I love it. Okay. All right. Well, I am going to start. I think you guys all know I'm Allyson, and I have some medals with me just to quickly show you from the Olympics. This is London. Just to kind of this was before my journey to motherhood. So just kind of start here. And this is a medal from Rio. I kind of just have, I think I got a medal from each games that I participated in. So that's Rio. I'm not going in order. This is Athens. So this was my first medal at 18 years old, the silver medal. And then medal from Beijing. There we go. And I guess I wanted to start here at the medals because for me, I have always wanted to be a mom. Like, I have a really special relationship and connection with my own mother. I have adored my grandparents. My grandmothers were so strong, and I have such a rich heritage there. I studied elementary education at USC, and so children have just always been a special part of my life. And so I always envisioned myself being a mom, but I definitely had like this fear around starting a family. And I'm not sure exactly, where that came from, but it was a fear that I needed to accomplish so much before I could explore that or think about that or take that next step. And, it's hard. I felt like I had to, go to the Olympics and do this and this and this and be in a place that was good enough to say, okay, I'm going to take a pause and have a family. And I think it was just the culture that I had witnessed and the culture that was in track and field and, what I had experienced. And I think it's something that a lot of women experience across industries. Once I did finally choose to start my family and, I found that courage to do so, I knew I wanted to come back to competition. So I knew I wanted to still compete. I still had like these very ambitious goals of things that I wanted to achieve. And so I trained throughout my pregnancy and I felt really great. I was on the track for, I would say, 3 to 4 times a week. And I was in the gym. I was talking to my doctor and, making sure that everything that I was doing that she approved of. What else was I doing? In the gym, in the pool, and on the track. And I felt really strong. I felt great. I felt like I was getting ready, to give birth and all these things. Everything was going according to plan. And then at 32 weeks, I went for just a normal routine checkup at the doctor's. And when I came into the office, went back to the room right away, I found out that I was spilling protein. And at that point, my doctor wanted to hook me up for further monitoring. And so I did. And I was sitting back in the room and I was thinking this is typical me, but like after the doctor's appointment, I was supposed to do a photo shoot because I was going to share my pregnancy like with everyone. And so I'm looking at my watch like, okay, this is like a longer appointment than usual. And finally, the doctor comes back and she's like, I'm a little concerned with some things that I'm seeing, and I want to send you over to the hospital. And so I'm like, okay, well, how about I just like go do the photo shoot and then I'll like pop in there like when I'm done or tomorrow. And she was like, no, you need to go right away. And so I did. I went to the hospital and I was monitored for a few hours. And then after that, I was admitted. And then once I became admitted later on that evening, things just really spiraled and everything started happening really quickly. And it became a really scary situation. And I don't know if you guys know, but the statistics say that Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to face complications or even death when giving birth. And I think I had heard that statistic before, but I'm a professional athlete. Like I know how to be healthy. This is what I do for a living. I just never felt like that would be me or that I would be in that situation. But I was, and I felt like I was not prepared. And I don't know if anyone is ever, prepared for an emergency situation, but I would say that I wasn't educated enough to know what could happen if things went wrong. And so I was thrust into that, and it was extremely scary. And things got to the point where I ended up having to be rushed in to have an emergency C-section. And at that point, it was really scary because I was super worried about my daughter and what does this mean for her. And my family was worried for that, but they were also worried for my own life, and everything was kind of up in the air. I had a successful C-section and my daughter was born, and we were just so blessed that, we both had our lives, and we spent some time in the NICU. And I'll talk about that further a little bit later, but I was just so blessed, to come out on the other side of that, because I know that so many women, they don't. Shortly after that, I also had a huge, another fight on my hands, and it was a fight for maternal protections in contracts for female athletes. And two of my other teammates had spoke out about this, Kara Goucher and Alicia Montano. And when they spoke out, I just felt like I had to join them. They were very public about their experiences, and I was just much more of a private person. And I just wasn't sure if I felt comfortable, really sharing this, what was going on with me with the world. And I think the thing that really gave me that push was my daughter, and thinking about the world that she's going to grow up in. And I don't want her to have this same fight that, I've experienced at this point. I don't want her to face that as well. And so I decided that it was, that I had to speak out, that I had to share my experience and what I had gone through. And by all of, this obviously was not something that I was only one who had experienced it. In track and field, this was happening since I had entered when I was a teenager. And so by doing this, we saw the power of our collective voices, and it was really powerful and it was amazing. And one of the coolest things I think about it was the response from women across industries, that they related to this, that they understood it, that they had similar experiences and different experiences, but that we all like feel each other. And I think a lot of times that we think we're going through something alone. You think you're the only one battling something, and this could relate to, this situation or something completely different. We all have our own journeys, and they're unique and they're beautiful, but they're filled with struggle as well. And I think that, speaking out really taught me to be more vulnerable and to be more open, because change happens. And because we did speak out, we were able to see some change in contracts. And also there's still more work to be done. There's a lot that we have to do on these issues in sport, outside of sport, and just in the conversations that we have, amongst ourselves. And so that whole experience just helped me find my voice on this issue, on other issues. It just made me see the importance of speaking out and of what we need to do. So I definitely want to take this time to start to open it up to discussion. If you've been thinking about maybe an experience that that you've gone through that you want to share, any questions about this part of my life or this journey and journey to motherhood that I faced in this first little section, you can unmute yourself and jump right in. Don't be shy.
I had a question, or hi, my name is Monet Jennings.
Hi, Monet.
Was it hard when you first had your daughter to like practice and still care for her? Or like, were you like struggling at first trying to still be a mother, but an athlete at the same time?
Yeah, completely. It was a totally new experience. You know, there's so much. I'm going to talk about it in more depth a little bit later and really unpack some of those things of kind of what I expected and then what my reality was. And it was a very humbling experience. So I won't share too much now because I'm going to kind of like really do a deep dive into that. But just to answer you, it was a very hard balance and just getting used to what my new normal was. Yeah, does anybody else have anything they want to ask or share?
I have a question. Hi, my name is
Yes.
Skylar. So when you were, growing up and everything, did you ever think that you'd have to choose between motherhood and being an Olympian, or did you know that you could do both?
That's a great question. I never saw myself having to choose, but I think what I did see was that I imagined kind of that like I would have my career, you know, as an Olympian, and then I would be a mother. And I don't think I really had the vision that I could do both at the same time.
Mhm.
And I think I've been inspired by so many women across industries, not just in sport, who have showed that that's possible. I mean, women have been doing this since the beginning of time, like making everything happen. It's literally what we do. And there's such strength in that. And so when I'm having like those difficult days where I'm just like, okay, I feel like I'm losing in this area, like I'm failing at home. I don't know, I'm not the athlete that I want to be today. I look to like those women for inspiration. I look to my own family. I look to just that encouragement. I think your community and the people you surround yourself with is so important, because we all have moments like that. And that's moms, that's dads, that's every, you know, just regular people walking around. It's like we need that support. I think we have time for one more in this section. If anybody has anything else they want to add.
Yeah, hi, I have a question. My name is Marcia. How did you kind of like readjust the expectations that you may have set for yourself or like goals that you may have set for yourself prior to motherhood? And then also kind of like after motherhood, like what was that maybe process and like how did you balance that kind of like ultimate change?
Yeah, it was really difficult. I think I had to challenge myself, like in my own thinking and what I believed, and really kind of question, like, why is that something that I believe? You know, um, and just the question that Skylar asked, like about how I envisioned, you know, seeing my career and home life like merging together. And kind of like challenging some of those thoughts, like why did I think that I couldn't do both of them at the same time? I think by doing that and looking to other people for that kind of encouragement and hope in those situations, realize that like I can do this and I need to shift my thinking and I need to shift my goals. I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit, you know, like we limit our own capability when that's not necessary. Like we're created to do these amazing things. And I think sometimes we need to push ourselves and just challenge ourselves to get it done. I think you learn so much through experience. And if anything, you can always scale back. But for me, I'm always, I don't know, I want to shoot for the stars and see if I can get it all done. Thank you guys so much for being interactive. I also want to mention, like, we're totally going to get to the core. This is just like the first part. So be like, you know, getting ready. We're going to move to the mat once I talk a little bit more. But so now I want to get into that postpartum life and what it looked like. So I definitely had expectations of what I imagined motherhood would be. And you know, I think those came from other people's experiences. And so I imagined, you know, like what my life would look like once I had a child and what it would look like, you know, returning to work and all of those things. And I think I really struggled with comparing myself to other people. That's kind of like was my gauge, you know, well, here was this person and this is how they came back from their pregnancy and this is what it looked like. This is where they were, you know, 2 weeks after, a month after. And when I found myself not in that situation, it's discouraging. It's like, well, why am I not where this person is? And, you know, this is the age of like the snapback, and you're supposed to look like you never had a baby like 1 week later. And it's like, even as an athlete, I found myself like, why am I, you know, why is that a thing for me? You know, like, why does that matter? I think one thing I learned after giving birth is that strong looks can look a whole lot of different ways. There's not this one image of what strength looks like. And that is, that really was like powerful to me to really like say like, no, that's what I believe, and that's what I'm gonna stick with. So I had all these like comparisons in my mind of, you know, what I thought the situation would look like and what I wanted it to be. And the reality was that was not what I was going through at all. I was recovering from a C-section. I was in the hospital for an extended period of time. My daughter was on the floor under me, and she was in the NICU. And I was spending 19 plus hours. Once I was released, I was 19 plus hours at the hospital. And I was just physically and emotionally drained. You know, it was taking a toll on everything. And while I was going through all of this, you know, I still had in my mind of, I'm getting behind. This is a world championship year. Everyone is, you know, moving past where I am. And I really was getting caught up in that. And I remember sitting in my daughter's hospital room in the NICU, and I had a routine in there. I would be in there every day, and every 3 hours I would get to open her isolette, pop the little doors open, go in, check her temperature, change her diaper, remove the cords, take her out, feed her, and put her back in. And that was like what I did literally every 3 hours, over and over and over, all day long. And in those times in between, when I would be waiting to do my routine again, I would be just watching her monitors and looking and checking and making sure, you know, hoping that no alarms would go off and that whole deal. And so one afternoon, I was sitting there in the chair, and I heard this scream. And it was a scream from one of the fellow NICU mothers in another room. And it was one of those just gut-wrenching, pain-filled screams that, you know, something just tragically went wrong. And as I was sitting there, the nurses, they came around and they closed the individual doors to, you know, each of the other rooms where the babies were. And it still didn't drown out that piercing cry from that mother. And I think that was the moment where everything was put into perspective, you know, where I did wonder, you know, am I going to return to track and field? Because this is so much more important. Like when I look at my priorities, like this is at the top of my list, and I want to care for my daughter. At that point, you know, she was fighting daily. And so I wanted to be there. And it just kind of put in perspective that comparison, that no one's journey is the same. Like no one really knows what you're experiencing, what you're going through, the heavy moments that you're taking on. It's really, really hard. Shortly after that time, I remember the first workout that my coach gave me to return back to training. And it was a 30-minute walk on the treadmill. And like, I kind of like chuckle looking back at it, because it seems like that's like nothing. But I remember like getting halfway through that walk. It's like a power walk on the treadmill. And I got halfway through, and I was like completely done. Like, and I remember when I did reach the end, I had like tears running down my face, because I'm like, I can't even walk for 30 minutes. Like, how am I going to get back to compete? How am we're like months away from world championships. Like, is this a realistic goal? Like, I was just super, super discouraged by that. But also that is where like your community and your family and whoever is your support system really kicks in, because they were able to like just encourage me to stick with it and to stay the course. And so I had a lot of just doubts during that time, doubts of myself, if I could, you know, get back to the athlete that I was, doubts in my training, just, you know, there's so much to tackle, I think, when you're a new mom, and you're also like, you have so much so much other things on your plate. And it's just a really, really difficult time. And so I was totally experiencing that. I'm also a person who doesn't like to ask for help. And I just had to, like, I had to force myself. I had to continue to push myself outside of my comfort zone to ask for help, and to also to ask my partner, my husband, to make this a team effort. You know, that I'm not going to accomplish this if we're not all on board, and that if this isn't a common goal. And so that was one of, I think, probably the single thing that has helped me the most in this, is having someone who supports me and who pushes me and who loves me and who I can just escape for a few minutes and like gather myself once again to try to tackle this all. So that's kind of like the expectations and what the reality was for me in the postpartum life. And so again, I want to open it up. You guys have any thoughts, any questions, or anything to add from your own experience? I would love to hear from you guys.
Hi, Allyson. My name is Jason here. Thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to ask you about how did you manage? It sounds like a lot of times there was a mismatch between your mental strength and your physical strength. And then other times, you know, it was the other way around, like your physical strength was there, your mental strength wasn't there. How did you make sure that you're kind of like always aligning those two? It sounds like that was like the biggest challenge, right?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, for sure. I think that it was out of sync a lot of times. You know, I felt some days there was that mental strength was there, and then other days, you know, I felt physically strong. And I think it was allowing time to get them to sync back up again. And I think anytime you kind of are in an unfamiliar circumstance, you might experience that, you know, because you're just dealing with so many moving pieces, and just life. Like, life is hard and there's struggles, and we just don't get it right all the time. And so I think just being kind to myself, like allowing for, this is a day where, you know, physically I don't have it. I don't feel it. I'm tired. I woke up like 10 times in the night, like, you know, and just, I think the biggest thing, like, be kind and be patient. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything?
Allyson, thank you for being so willing to be so vulnerable with us. It sounds like the Olympics and the gold medal is just one part of it. What does the Olympics and the gold medal really mean for you?
Yeah, thank you, Chloe. I would definitely say that motherhood has really allowed me to learn a lot more about myself. And like you said, it's my athletic career has just been kind of one part of my life. And the gold medals, you know, they have been dreams that I've tackled for so long. And they have taught me so much about myself and pushed me to, you know, to take a failure and to learn from it, and to grow and to push myself outside of my comfort zone. And so there's all those moments. And then I think as a mother, I still have those ambitions. You know, I still have those dreams and things I want to accomplish. I think what it's done, it's really shifted my motivation and it's shifted my drive. I think before, I've always been a competitor, and I've always just, I don't know, I love to win, like in anything, you know, that's who I am. So even if I'm like at a stoplight and then it goes green, I'm like, you know, let me get off the line first. That's just me. But I think, you know, having a daughter has really shifted that into, you know, why do I want to win? You know, what fight am I in? What I want to show my daughter what hard work looks like, what overcoming adversity really looks like, and give her that picture. And then fight for a lot of things that have nothing to do with sport altogether. And so, yeah, it's interesting, you know, how life just takes you on this journey, and you learn along the way and you keep pushing. Yeah, I think we have time for one more.
Hi, Allyson.
Go ahead.
You go. I was just going to ask if there have been any lessons that you learned since like becoming a new mom that are really applicable right now in this time of isolation and different training.
Such a good question. Yes. I think to be open. You know, I talked a little bit about like even when I was, thinking about being a mom and having this idea in my head. And I think, previously I'm a very structured person, and I like a plan, and I like to stick to it. And, being a mom has forced me to abandon that, and to be open and to go with the flow and all of that. And I think during this time of being at home and, just living life in a very different way, I've had to apply that same mindset and really to just like shift, because I think, when the Olympics were initially postponed, it was a really hard thing to wrap my mind around. I have completely altered my life to reach this goal, and now it has shifted. And I know everyone has experienced that in some way. It might not be the Olympic Games for you, but it might be a job, or it might be an illness, a family situation, whatever it is. We've all had to shift from what our norm was. And I think by just being open and embracing kind of that, whatever that is, for me, it was really easy to look at all the negative things. Like, I'm going to be a year older, like I'm ready now. Now I have to be ready a year from now. But I think by looking at the positive, like, I get to be home. I don't have to travel. I can see my daughter grow. I have more time to be stronger, more time to get ready, has totally uplifted me. And just also, I'll say, like, making the conscious decision to be positive. It's hard. Like, it's so easy to let your mind drift to the negative, but it's harder to push yourself to the positive. And so that's another thing that I feel like I've tried to hold on to during this time. I think there was one more I wanted to get to before I jump to the next section. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was me. Hi, I'm Harriet. I'm calling from London.
Awesome.
It's been really, really inspiring, Allyson, to hear you so far. I actually had a question about your kind of activism. So you mentioned earlier that you're kind of now motivated since having a family, about kind of calling things out and sort of achieving things and kind of trying to get kind of equal rights, as it were. What do you have planned with your kind of activist hat on? What kind of world do you want your daughter to live in kind of 10, 20 years time?
I love that question, Harriet. I want to see a more equal world, a more just world. And that is something that is huge. I think we're all kind of in this really special time right now. At least I feel it feels different to me, where a lot of people are getting involved, and we're stopping and we're listening to each other and understanding that everyone does not have the same experience, and hearing different perspectives and taking time to read and to educate ourselves. And so for me, I want to really, tackle the fight for women and to advocate for mothers. And I've really kind of honed in on that maternal mortality rate and the crisis surrounding that. That's something that's really been huge to me because of my own experience and just not being educated or aware. And so that's an area that I've definitely identified, but just women's rights in general. Like, I want equality, and I want real equality, not just like, something that we talk about or something that's marketed. Like, I want to see equal pay, like equal attention for women in all industries. And so it's a crazy huge fight, but it's something that I'm excited about. And I think my daughter definitely really drives that forward and it moves that along. So thank you so much for that question. Okay, well, I want us to get moving. We'll come back and talk a little bit more afterwards. But everyone, if you can just get a little bit of space, if you have a mat, that's great. If you don't, it's not really needed. Grab some water nearby if you can. And I just want to say before we start this core, as everyone is getting situated and everything, for me, I talked about like coming back to track and trying to, grapple with being myself again. And I will say that the biggest thing I had to do was to be patient, and I had to give myself time. And it was hard because it was a very humbling experience. I'm an athlete and I'm used to doing a lot of things. And some of the things that were really challenging for me were things that I never thought twice about, earlier. And so it's been a whole new experience, but I've tried to be kind to myself and I've tried to be patient. And I will say that right now I feel stronger than ever. And I feel so happy that I've finally reached this place that I wasn't sure that I was going to get to. So I want to say out there for all the mothers, and I totally love that men have joined this call as well, because this is not just about women. I think it's amazing to be aware and to be an ally and to understand the fight that, that partners and friends are going through. But I do want to say that if you are thinking of having a child or coming back from having a child, I did this amazing program. It's called Recore Fitness with Celeste Goodson, and you can go to her website. It's recorefitness.com. And I love the way that she really kind of redefines how you heal from giving birth and how you prepare as well. So I just wanted to throw that out. That's a program that I did before I even began to run, and I felt like it really had a great a benefit for me. Okay, so let's get into this core work. I am taking my stopwatch to keep us accountable. And this is pretty much how it's going to work. I'm going to just demonstrate the core for us, and then we'll jump into whatever the reps or the hold is. And we're gonna do 3 blocks, and we're gonna run through each block twice. And so hopefully the first time you can get familiar. What I love about core is that you can totally go as hard as you want. You can modify things. You can do it anywhere. Like I said, I am in my house, in my home gym, but you can do this in hotel rooms, like wherever. So get some space. We are going to first start out with a hollow hold. So we're gonna do it just for 15 seconds. I'm going to first, my stopwatch going, just demonstrate how it goes. So you're gonna lay back, you're gonna lift your feet up, hands extended, and you're just gonna keep your core really tight in a solid hold, okay? So everyone ready to go up, and let's go. Nice solid core. If you're shaking, that's amazing. I've got a little shake going on myself. 5 more seconds. Really tight. And nice job. All right, see, warming up a little bit. Now we're gonna get into Russian twists. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with that, but if not, you're just going to lift up your legs, really tight, secure core, and you're gonna go all the way to one side and then reverse to the other. One side into the other, okay? So we are going to do these Russian twists. Let's do 15 of them. And how I count is each side is 1, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Nice job, guys. And if you are feeling like this is just like way too easy for you, just add like 10 more to each section, and that should help you out. All right, we're gonna go into a plank. If you're not familiar with the plank, you're just gonna turn over. You're gonna go into your forearms, and you just really wanna be a nice straight line, really solid in your midsection, okay? We're gonna hold this plank for 30 seconds. All right, and let's go. Nice tight core. Make sure your hips aren't dipping. And we are halfway there. If you feel like you're shaking a little bit, just tighten up. Lift those hips. 5 more seconds. Looking good, looking good. All right, amazing job. Okay, and that is the first block. We are just gonna get some water if you need it. Shake out for a little bit, take a breath. And we are gonna run through that again, okay? We're gonna start with that hollow hold. If 15 seconds was really easy for you, try to push it to 30 seconds, okay? And everybody ready? And let's go. Legs up, hands extended. Oops, I put the wrong timer on. Okay, solid midsection. Let's do 5 more seconds. Okay, nice job, guys. All right, we're gonna go into that Russian twist. Oh, love it. I love those who are still going with a little longer hold. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, Russian twist. Let's do 15 again, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Great job. Awesome. I love it for those who are doing a little more. And let's get ready to do that plank. I'm gonna do 30 seconds, but if you're feeling good, go ahead, 45, a minute, it's on you. Remember, a tight, nice core section. And let's go. Really solid, making sure you're in that straight line. Don't let your hips dip. We're halfway there. Nice and solid. Squeeze that core. If you're feeling a little shaky, squeeze it. Nice job. Great job. And that is the first section. So again, grab some water. We're moving on to block 2. Everybody feeling good? Give me a wave if everything's good. Okay, I love it. All right, one of my favorite exercises are sprinter sit-ups, and these are super easy to explain. So we're gonna lay back, and you're gonna go in a sprinter position. One leg up and one arm up in a crunch. Up and crunch, up and crunch, okay? Let's do 20 of those. Everybody ready? And let's go. Okay, halfway there. Keep going. And nice job. Looking good, guys. I love it. Okay, we're gonna now do a little more complicated exercise. This is a pike up with a hip thrust. So I'll show you. You're gonna start out up on your hands. You're really gonna push back, extend one leg out, lower your hips, and bring it forward. So it's up and lower. Up, pike up, and open up and thrust out, okay? It's a little more challenging, so let's just start off with 3 on each side so you guys can kind of get the hang of it, okay? All right, let's get in that position. And you're gonna alternate legs, okay? So pike up and out, up and out. Make sure your hips really drop. All right. And then once you kind of get the hang of that, you can continue to challenge yourself. All right, we're gonna move on to toe touches. This, you're just laying on your back, extend your feet up, and you're just gonna reach up and crunch. Reach up and crunch. Reach up and crunch. All right, let's do 20. Let's go. Nice job. Halfway there. Okay, get some water. That is block 2. We're gonna run through it one more time. Feeling good? Hopefully you have like a little bit of a burn going on. Okay, we are gonna do the sprinter sit-ups again. I'm gonna do 20. If you're feeling good, push yourself to do 30, okay? And let's go. Halfway there. Nice job, everybody. Let me see who's getting it in with those extra ones. I love it. Looking good, looking good. Okay, we're gonna move to that little more complicated move, the pike up and thrust. We did 3 on each side last time. Let's try to do 5. And if you feel really good, 7, okay? So I think those are good numbers to shoot for. All right, pike up, lower those hips and thrust. Pike up, lower and go. All right, keep going. Looking good. All right, that's 5. Give me 2 more if you're feeling good. Awesome. I love it, I love it. Okay, once you're done that, take your time with that. We're gonna move to those toe touches once again. Back flat, legs up. Let's do 25 if you feel good. How about 35? Let's go. Almost there. All right. Hit those extra 10 if you can. Amazing, looking good. And that's the end of that block. So go ahead and grab some water, stretch it out. You can totally stretch your abs. Just kind of reach up, elongate, get some water. And we're gonna move into this final block. Okay, we are gonna do plank and hip dips. So it's gonna look like this. You're gonna be down in a plank on your forearms, and you're gonna go all the way to one side, back up, and to the other side. You just wanna tap your hip. Okay? So let's start out with doing just 10 of them, okay? And let's go. Halfway there. Almost there. One more. Nice job. Okay, now this one is challenging for me. It's always one of the tough ones for me, but they're V-ups. Hopefully I can get it done. You're basically just taking your arms and your legs out into a V position and up. And crunching up, okay? Let's do 10 of them. And go. Halfway there. Whew. Okay, nice job, guys. Last one of the block, okay? We're almost done. It's the bicycle crunches. Pretty traditional, you've probably done them before. Lean back, hands behind your head. You're gonna cross over your leg and your arm, and then to the other side. Okay? Let's do 15 of these. 1 and 1, each side is 1. All right, let's go. Almost there. Nice job. Go ahead and stretch it out when you're done. Stretch that core. Really elongate. Grab some water. This is the last block, so let's really challenge ourselves. All right, everybody feeling good? Okay, we are starting with that plank and hip dip. Now, if you really want to push yourself, I think we did 10, try to double that, it's the last thing, like go for it. I'll do 10, and then if you feel good, keep going. But just, you can modify it as you go. And let's go. Almost there? Okay, let's see those who want to keep going. Make sure you tap that hip down. Make sure I can see everybody. Okay, awesome. Now we're into those V-ups, okay? We did 10 last time. So if you're feeling good, go ahead and do 20. If you're somewhere in the middle, 15. But try to push yourself. We're almost done. Some space and go. Halfway there. Nice job. Looking good. I love those who are still going. Get it in. Awesome. All right, guys, this is the last exercise. Bicycle crunches once again. I'll do 15. If you're feeling good, do 30. If you're somewhere in the middle, that's great. All right, lay back and let's go. Almost there. All right, knock out those extra 15. Looking good, guys. I love it. Awesome. Okay, go ahead, stretch that midsection, elongate. Get some water. Hopefully everybody's feeling good. I've got a little bit of a sweat going. I love it. While we're all kind of recovering, I'm just going to chat a little bit about wellness, mindfulness, and how that has played a role in me coming back to training. I think that rest is so important. And a lot of times, I know myself, I struggle with that. I want to like go and go and go. And rest is just as important as work, as hard work. And so I had to really like push myself to understand that. And especially being a new mom, coming back, all of that, even more I had to. And so I think it forced me to look at some of the things that I do away from the track. And that looks like taking moments for myself, being kind to myself, time to meditate. I love to meditate on scripture, but there's all different kinds of meditation that I feel like is beneficial. I'm a person who likes to visualize. And so I visualize my races, the perfect race, all of that. And then I also have a gratitude journal. And that's something that I think has just been really helpful during this time of what everything is going on in the world. And I think it's so easy to get caught up with all of the negativity, but there's so much to have gratitude for. And so I make sure that I note that and I, honor that and take time to recognize that. And then also just surrounding myself with positive people. I think our circles are so important because they are responsible for uplifting us, and we do that for each other. And it's just, I think in the age of social media, it can be challenging. And I think like if social media isn't helping you, then take a break. Like feed into your life positivity and what you want to get out of it. And those are all things that for me have really helped me, have helped my mental health, and have just contributed to part of this journey trying to get back. I think about trying to like balance everything and how I look at that. And I've had to definitely just, I think, first of all, realize that my life is different now. And I'm going to miss out on some things that I did before. But also, I have this amazing experience of love like I never knew existed before. And that has been just the most rewarding thing. I remember just a last quick story I'll end on. My first meet back that I was competing from having my daughter Cameron, I was running at nationals and I hadn't competed at all. So I was like, okay, how long can I delay this? And I raced at nationals and it was our qualifier for world championships. And I was so nervous, just nervous because I wasn't sure how I was going to do. Like I knew I wasn't the old me, and I hadn't completely transformed to what I wanted to be. And so I was somewhere in this middle phase. And I remember packing up to go and, getting all of my race gear ready and then getting all Cameron stuff ready, which was just an obnoxious amount of stuff. Like I always told myself, I never want to be that parent that has like all those things until you're a parent and you realize like all those things are necessary. So I was that person with like 4 bags to go on this like weekend trip. And we stayed in a hotel. And so it's like figuring out like, what does that look like? Like cleaning bottles in a hotel room and like, where is this child going to sleep? Like, she's not quite in a crib yet. And like going to Target to buy a bassinet for like 3 days. I'm like, is this what people do? Like, I'm not sure. And so there was just this whole transition period of like figuring it out. And I think that that's what balance and integrating like your new life looks like. Like, I don't think anyone has all the answers and each family is different, like what works for you and what makes you successful. And so it's been this enormous learning process. And I learned a lot from that first trip. And from there, we headed over to Europe and we were taking 13-hour flights with, this very young little child and figuring out how, competing works on the circuit and all of these totally foreign experiences. But I just say all of that to say that I'm still figuring out. I think everyone is. We have to be kind to ourselves. We have to realize that this is such a journey and it's a process and we're all on our own unique journeys. I think that by being vulnerable and having these conversations and these discussions, we realize that we can help one another. And it's this really amazing thing that you're not in anything alone. And I just hope that we continue to be open and have more of these discussions. And so I am so grateful that all of you guys joined me today to kind of just have this conversation and talk about some of these things. And I totally want to open it to you guys for any last questions. I think we have a little bit over 5 minutes and we can just kind of go through anything you guys want to talk about.
So I had another question for you, Allyson.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned a gratitude journal. I just wondered if you could give us an insight into like what your like latest entry was, like what kind of things did you put in? And then I had a second question. So you've talked a lot about positivity, which is amazing. And you clearly have so much mental resilience to try and kind of get back on track, like literally get back on the track. And so my question really was, when you're starting a race, like what is going through your mind? Like just before the gun goes off, what do you like tell yourself? What's going through your mind? It'd be really great to get an insight into that.
Yeah, my latest entry in my gratitude journal, I think was, it was about this time of like being home with my family. I usually like am just all over the place with travel and it's been insane. And, things have definitely got back to, I think the world has figured out how, to effectively work from home. And so things have gotten much more busy, but I just had to be grateful for this time with family and like what that looks like. I've been taking my daughter to swim classes and it's just like a joy, like something that I wouldn't have been able to do before. And it's just really cool. And then the other part of your question, right before I walked to the blocks, it has to do with gratitude as well. The latter part of my career, I've really, even just like those moments right before, I've just taken a moment to embrace it and just be present, be thankful. I'm doing what I absolutely love and I'm healthy. And I just remind myself in that moment. Like, it can be so stressful. It can be such a heavy moment. And just reminding myself puts me in a really calm and good space. And then it gets technical. Like, I think of all of the things that I need to do in the blocks, whether that's my position, my angles, what I need to be doing for 20 meters, staying down, like all of those type of things. And by focusing on that, it really helps me not make the moment bigger. Because I think, when you don't have a very singular focus, you can get lost and thoughts can enter your mind and it can get crazy. And so I've just found through experience that really dialing into one or two technical thoughts really helps me. Does anybody else have anything?
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hey.
You mentioned how important it was to have a supportive partner. I'm wondering what your best piece of advice is for someone who is a friend of someone who was recently pregnant or a partner of someone recently pregnant who's looking to get back into their own fitness routine. What's the number one thing that you would advocate for the partner?
Yeah, I love that you asked that question. I think just even that mindset is amazing to want to provide that support. Just from my own experience, I would say I would love having someone to be out there with, and if that looks like, instead of meeting for a lunch, let's meet for a run, let's meet for let's do this core circuit together. I think that that's so helpful because I think as a new mom, you always put yourself last and you have so much on your plate. And I think by actually scheduling in time, which can be like me time, I think that working out and getting into a fitness routine, it does so much for yourself. And so whether that's watching the baby for a minute so that she can get out there and do that, or joining her, you can do so many amazing workouts with your little one tagging along. So I think just providing that support and then also asking how can I be helpful is also a great check-in. I know I'm giving you way more than one thing, but something else just crossed my mind too. Just asking how you're doing. I think that's a big thing because there's so many emotions and new feelings as a new mom. And it's just nice to have someone to check in because it's not always great. And it's just nice to have that support. I think we probably have time for one more question.
I had a question bouncing off a few questions ago. Do you have any meet day rituals that you always do, or something that, or socks you always wear or something, or just little things?
Something that I started way back in high school. I always pray with my mom before my races. And so I'm not really superstitious, but I just love that time of connection with her. And it always helps me to put things in perspective. It always feels like the most important race, or just, I don't know, it feels like this means everything, this one moment, and kind of just having that time of prayer and reflection with somebody that I love, who I know is going to love me the same if I win, if I lose, if I never run again. It's just something that is calming to me, and it just feels really good. And so that's something that I make sure I do, even as a 34-year-old woman who competes across the world. I call my mother and she'll answer in the middle of the night, early in the morning. And she's like, oh, it's time for our race day prayer, and we'll do it. So it's something that's really, really special to me. I think is there one more?
Yes, sorry, Allyson. So in one of your photos, I actually saw that you had a recovery device, a Theragun. So I wanted to ask you, what do you use that for? How important is that for you? Do you use that before bed? Any sort of tips and tricks that you as an athlete have learned using it?
Yeah, I would say that it's so funny now, things have progressed and there's all these amazing tools. And so, I use my Theragun mainly for recovery. So after a tough workout, I'll hit whatever those problem areas are, hamstrings, calves, and even before workouts to kind of loosen up the muscles, I'll do that as well. And you can accomplish it with that. You can, foam rolling is so important, using a stretch rope and just taking time to really stretch and it's so tedious and it's not always fun, but it totally is worth it. and it's great to do. So yeah, that's an awesome question. Well, I think that is our time, guys. I am so grateful that you have all joined me. And thank you for being interactive and participating in this dialogue. I hope that it could be helpful and you can relate to something in it. If you're a mom, if you're not, if you're an ally, if you're just a support person, or if you're just on your own journey in life, I just hope that we all remember that we're on our own path. We have strengths, we have weaknesses, and there's just so much to learn from our own unique journeys. And so thank you for joining me.
Allyson, before you go, if you don't mind, I think Alana had a question but may not have wanted to interrupt.
Oh, sure. Yes. Let's get that last one in.
You're one of
Hi, Alana.
I'm Sierra. Alana's
Oh, Sierra. Okay.
You're one of my inspirations. Is there something you would say to your 12-year-old self?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. Oh, my 12-year-old self. I think I would tell my 12-year-old self to go after my dreams, to not let anybody discourage me or tell me that I can't accomplish them, and to really explore what I enjoy doing. So when I was younger, I did a lot of different sports, and I think that's amazing to really find what you like. And once you do, to go after that and to be passionate. If that's a sport, if that's art, if that's math, whatever it is, to just find it and to embrace it and to enjoy it. And I think that's the perfect way to end this talk. Thank you, Sierra.
Allyson, I'm a new mom, and I just wanted to say thanks. That was really, really great.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Molly. Yeah, and thank you to everybody. I appreciate everyone who joined and everyone who tuned in. This was really a special time, and I'm glad that we could have this discussion.
Thank you.
All right, take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.